Well, I think it's definitely a second shot golf course, second shot and in at least. I think you have to be a good iron player because the greens will probably be firm. They're not necessarily physically small targets, but when they get the hole locations in the right spots, they will turn into really small targets. So you do have to be pretty accurate with your irons, and then it'll come down to the putting. You know, where if you're able to control your distance on long putts, if you're going to be able to make the short putts, you're going to have a lot of short breaking putts, which are obviously challenging, especially the short game portion of the competition. So I think, again, second shot it in, that's the type of golf course it is. We have a very unique first hole. It's not your typical Donald Ross first hole. It has been changed a little bit since he designed it, but it's pretty much how he designed it. It's going to be interesting how they play it. I think they'll play it differently in stroke play and match play. To be honest, I think driver is the best off the first tee. Hit driver and you carry these, especially these longer players are going to carry the bunkers. That fairway actually opens up, or the landing area actually opens up past the bunkers, and will leave a pretty short, wedge or even a pitch for some of these longer guys to the green. So personally, I think that's the play. But when you get up to that tee and you see out of bounds right, you see the bunkers ahead of you, you see the fescue, I will see a lot of players hit iron off the tee. And it might be, I bet you it'll be different stroke play and match play, what they do. Definitely a hole that the players will take advantage of. It's a short-ish par 5, short for today's standards, that's for sure. Just like we're going to talk about a lot today, it's a second shot. Second shot is the most important, and for most of these players, it will be a long iron into this par 5. You hit it on the green, you'll have a good chance to make birdie. But if you miss the green in the wrong spot, you're going to be just hoping to make par, because the green is really severe. The hole locations will be tough on that hole, this being a short par 5. So it's an easier hole to get the round started in stroke play, and then in match play to maybe start out with an eagle, to go one up. So third hole is pretty straightforward, par 4. You just want to avoid the stream on the right. Shouldn't be a lot of fireworks on that hole, but a hole that players can take advantage on early in the round. Fourth hole is probably my favorite hole in the course. Just a great long par 4. They can stretch it out pretty long. It plays uphill, especially in the second shot is very much uphill, kind of a theme that we have here at Winchester with these uphill second shots. So just a beautiful fairway, lands moving all over the place. So you get it in the fairway, and then you have this nice uphill shot, mid to short iron into a really narrow green. Our greens are pretty big here, but this is the narrowest on the course, and it's one of the longer par 4s. So you just have to take good golf shots on it, and it's a hole you take a couple pars in stroke play and get out of there, and then in match play, I think par is going to win that hole a lot. So fifth hole, again, pretty short par 4. I think these longer players nowadays are going to try to get it close to the green, if not onto the putting surface. It is tough to hit it on the putting surface, just the way the bunkers are angled and from the tee box. And it wasn't really designed as a drivable par 4 at all, but just with technology nowadays, it's become that way. It's really, as a crow flies, it's only 320. So I think a good majority of these longer players will just try to bomb it up near the green and take their chances. It's definitely no easy chip or pitch from wherever you are up there. The green is pretty severe, but it's a birdie hole, that's for sure. 6 holes, our first par 3. It's you know, it's pretty straightforward, but it's a beautiful hole. You know, from the tee, you have these expansive bunkers on the left. It's elevated. You know, it's 100. It'll play 180 yards probably for the championship, so it's a decent length. But with a flat green, but it's might be the best view of the course once you get up onto the green. You have the first view of the Boston skyline, and it's so it's pretty in that regard. But as a par 3, it's a really good solid par 3. So 7th again is a pretty short par 4. It has a bunker in the middle of the fairway that longer players will have to decide what to do. It's 280 yards to the front of the bunker, and it's at least 320 to carry, which I don't think that's the play for these guys. It's not really doable, but so it'll probably be a 3-wood. The fairway is sloped quite a bit from right to left, so a lot of balls end up down on the left side, which is fine. Makes it a little tougher angle, but to a really good green. Little local knowledge for those watching before the tournament, that the green, while it looks like it's pitched, you know, towards the fairway like a lot of traditional greens, it slopes away. It really slopes away. You still are going down the hill. You are still going towards Mystic Lake. So it can be fast. You think you have an uphill putt, and it's pretty fast going the other way. So players will have to keep an eye out for that. 8, again, awesome par 4. You know, this is a lot of players, a lot of our members' favorite hole on the golf course. Long, again, this is one of our longer par 4s. It's about 475 from the back tee, and the drive is pretty open, not that challenging. You definitely want to get in the fairway because you are going to have one of your longer approach shots of the day on this hole, up to a green. You know, very much uphill. You can't see the putting surface. You can see the flagstick, no problem, but you can't see the putting surface. Really big green, almost like 3-tiered green, and you can't see the whole location necessarily. So you know, there'll be some good local knowledge on where to place your second shot. You know, a hole you're not going to birdie a whole lot. You know, again, a couple pars in stroke play, and then see what happens in match play. But just a great par 4. I think one of the best around. So 9, I guess, would be quote unquote our signature hole. It's a short par 3. They'll play it about 160 to 165 in the championship. Although I'll be curious to see what they do if they do move it up a little bit during match play, especially. We like to do that in our competitive events. The club move it around and even play it from 125 yards and have a tough hole location. It's a lot of fun. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried that during match play. But we have 7. It's 7 deep bunkers surrounding the green. Green is really challenging, sloping from back to front, so you want to be below the hole. It's just a great short par 3, which we have an awesome collection of par 3s, and this is just one of the 4 that we're so proud to have. 10's a good, you know, longish par 4, especially depending on the hole location. The drive is pretty straightforward, but again, second shot golf course, this one's all about the second shot. This green is almost 50 yards deep, so obviously you can play quite long if the hole location's all the way back. And that back hole location is on a very large, I guess, tier. It's pretty flat up there, but then the rest of the green is very severely sloped from front to back. So pretty challenging. We have some good front hole locations as well. Obviously shortens up the hole, but makes it a little more challenging going into the green and putting. But just a good medium length par 4. 11, I think, is probably the best par 3 on the golf course. It's long. We can stretch it out to almost 250 yards. It'll probably play more like 225 to 235 during the championship, I would think. It's just the typical long Donald Ross par 3. You know, it is relatively big green, but really well bunkered. If you come up short, it has, you know, it starts with a false front, then the approach just brings it even farther down. It can come back 50 yards if you don't get it over that front edge. So it is, it's just an awesome par 3. You'll see guys hitting anything between a 4-iron and a 3-wood. It's into the wind. Some of the shorter hitters might be hitting driver, and it's just a great hole. It's a great hole to spectate on if you're coming out to watch. You can stand up on the hill. You can watch hole. You can watch 11. Well, you can see a lot of the golf course. You can see 8. You can see 10. You can see players hitting on 11. Obviously, you can watch players tee off 12, and then you can watch players hit on 14. So that might be a cool spot to come watch if you're looking to spectate. So 12 is a short par 5. Very short. It's only 465 yards from all the way back, so reachable for just about everyone in the field. The drive is fairly straightforward, although you do want to get in the fairway. There's some bunkers to navigate. But again, second shot golf course, so you're hitting up the hill to a green that has a really severe false front, and then the approach will bring it back down another 50 to 60 yards if you don't get it all the way up. So club selection is important on that second shot if you're going for it in 2. But it's definitely an eagle hole. I mean, there's not a ton of trouble on the hole, so I think it's a hole to be aggressive on. You know, you can get in some funky spots around the green, but I think it's well worth it. I think it's a hole you can make eagle on. So 13's a really cool par 5, very unique. We've only seen it a few times that Ross did this. It has 2 fairways that's divided by a group of bunkers down the middle. So the lower fairway, which I don't think many players will use, is a lower fairway. It makes it a 3-shot hole. So I don't think a lot of players will use the lower angle, at least of the lower fairway, at least on purpose. So the play is up to the right. There's a fairway that's on a plateau. And it's pretty unique. A unique thing at Winchester, we have this target sign, so you aim right at that target. That'll give you a good spot. Some of the longer players can get over this plateau, and it'll just feed down a little bit, giving them a little trickier angle. So I think players will decide, like, should I hit 3-wood and keep it up on that plateau, or should I try to hit driver and get to have a mid to even? You could almost get a 7-iron into that green if you hit it in the right spot. But then you're gonna have a challenging second shot regardless. I think most players in the field will still be able to reach it. It is our longest par 5 and the hardest to reach into, but it's still doable. The green is not angled. It's not an easy angle to run up the ball, so you have to fly it onto the green because of the bunkering. And you even have the road. You know, if you hit a straight ball and you don't draw it into that green, you could end up either in the road or close to the road and be in really some trouble chipping onto that green. So I think some players, you don't hit a perfect drive. If you don't hit a perfect drive, I think it's smart to play it as a 3-shot hole and just lay up with an iron and then hit a wedge onto the green. I think a lot of players will do that. If there's any hole that will play as a 3-shot par 5 here, it'll be 13. 14, our last of our great collection of par 3s. It's the shortest. It only can max out to about 150, with a back hole location. So it could even play as short as 125 to a front pin. So, but it's a great green. Again, really challenging. We have a number of tough hole locations. So I'm sure Mass Golf will use them. And again, but it's going to be a wedge for a lot of players. A wedge to 9-iron for a lot of players. So I take advantage. It comes in late in the round and in match play. I think it could be a pivotal hole. For a player to make a 2 and really get ready for that last 4 holes. All right, so the last 4 holes are a great stretch of par 4s. 15, we've recently been able to add a new tee box in the last 5 years, so it's significantly longer. It used to be a short par 4, now it's one of our longest par 4s. And it plays 460 yards, really cool tee box just behind that 14th green, elevated. You're looking right down at it, you can see the city. And now there's a bunker on the left that can challenge it. It's 250 yards to carry it. So I know that's a normal carry for most, but in this field, you get stuck in that bunker, you really can't even reach the green because it's pretty severe. But if you do get it in the fairway, green's pretty narrow. Tough angle. If to run it up, it's really challenging to run it up. So if you're in the rough and you have a longer iron to a hybrid, which some of the shorter players might have, it's really challenging because the angle of the green and of the approach, you can't run it up. So you hit a good drive and you hit it, and you have a decent chance of hitting it close, but it's a pretty tough hole. So 16's unique. I know I've talked a lot about, a lot of holes are, a lot of par 4s and 5s, it's driver off the tee. This is one, I think, that some players will lay back a little bit. Maybe 3-wood. I think you only need to hit it most of the time, depending on the conditions. You just want to hit a shot that's in between 250 and 270 probably. So that is 3-wood for by a lot of players in this field. You tee off, it's a slight dog leg to the right. You tee off, it's slightly uphill. You want to hit it to this plateau, and then you're looking down at this beautiful green, beautiful landscape. You can see a lot of the golf course now with after some tree removal, and but probably the most severe green on the golf course. So this is a green, you really need to keep it below the hole no matter what. It's going to be tough to control the spin. If you have a wedge from that fairway, I'd recommend taking something off that wedge instead of hitting a big full wedge, because even when the greens are firm, you get the ball spinning from an elevated approach. It's gonna come right back at you. So that little dead arm wedge shot is really important on that hole, and you need to control your distance because you don't want to be past the hole location. 17, a really good par 4. I know I've said that a lot today, but really good par 4. Some people might lay back with 3-wood just for positioning, but you can definitely hit driver as far as you want to what, and then you'll have a shortish approach shot to what is my favorite green on the golf course. I think this is one of my favorite Donald Ross greens anywhere. It actually is fairly flat, but just the contours around the green. The falls front is beautiful. It falls off on the edges really nicely. Big bunker on the left. The green is fairly flat, but it's just an awesome green. And again, now we're getting to the end of the match, and in a close match, I could see a wedge shot that you could be licking your chops in the middle of the fairway. You just hit it a little offline. It could fall off on a bunch of sides of the green, and you can make a bogey where you think you're gonna make a birdie. So 18 is a tremendous finishing hole. It'll be fun to see any matches that are tied or obviously still alive come down to the 18th hole. It is a 450-yard par 4. You need to hit a good drive. You need to hit in the fairway. It's fairly wide. But you do need to be in the fairway. You hit it on the left, you have a terrible angle to the green. The rough's pretty long. There's some fescue over there. You hit it on the right, there's some bunkers, more rough. And then you could have a downhill lie into a green. You just really need to be in the fairway to hit. If you hit that right, that drive correctly, you could leave yourself into that, 8-9 iron for these longer players, even maybe into wedge territory. And then the fun's just beginning, because the green is really challenging. 2-tiered green, again, another false front that can really get you on that front hole location. The front of the green is really severe. The back of the green is still very sloped. Not a lot of birdies to finish out. I know Rob Oppenheim made a tremendous birdie on 18 to win the tournament in 2002. Made a long putt that to win it. It's a hole. Which is so impressive to birdie that hole to win a state amateur. So I think there'll be some matches that will come down to the wire, and a par will win that hole. I think that'll happen a lot. So we'll see.